I will try to help.
It's the same for me with my English.
I will try.
Thank you.
I will definitely help.
Because that's what I'm most scared of.
I see you. Actually have a hand up. That's the one I have. You know there is a release figure to sign. So that the conference can make use of the questions.
I have to make down. I just wonder if you can point with this. What if I want to show point first?
I don't know. No, that isn't.
That's what I thought.
It does not look like a pointer.
No, I don't think that either. That
We can ask the technician
Yeah, I
to see
can go
if he has a light pointer.
the green one. So, thank you. I'm not. I was too scared to try.
Is Martin in the room? We may be missing one speaker.
I know we just finalized the presentation, so.
It's 2 o'clock. I'll just give it 2 to 3 minutes for people to filter in. And hopefully for Martin to arrive.
Martin Tuchyňa, please.
Hi, Martin.
Just I need to find out how to move the presentation here because I realized that I don't have a stick. So
You don't have a stick?
Meanwhile, someone will present. I will prepare.
Well, let's load it now.
Oh, we have a second. Okay.
Yeah, we have a second, yes. I'll find a stick.
May I ask someone to help me for a second with USB stick? Oh, thanks.
Just in time. Oh, okay, step in. The last?
It's this one. Thanks.
Okay, good afternoon. I'm Ray Boguslavsky, not Robert Conrad. I'll be your chair for this afternoon, so welcome. And we have 5 very interesting presentations on the subject of good governance. We only had 4 a minute ago, but we now have 5, so we're all complete. For the speakers, I've only just been introduced to them, so I'd ask them to introduce themselves to the audience, and we'll start with Akin, and welcome on your on the first presentation.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, welcome. I am Akin, head of Department of Geographical Information in Turkey. Yeah, you know, national SDI is dynamic network facility comprising people, data, policy standards, and technology. And then all components must be measurable, identifiable, switchable. Also, an SDI has become a critical behind for facilitating seamless data development, information sharing, collaborate decision making across multiple sectors of the economy. Also about the facilitation and coordination of the exchange and sharing of spatial data between stakeholders in the spatial data community. Yeah, you know benefits an SDI, and you live for 10 years, for 15 years, reducing the cost of data production and eliminating duplication of effort. Developing application more quickly and easily by using existing data and data development standards. Providing better data for decision making, saving development effort by using fundamental and standardized data, guidelines and tools, and also another one. Yes, SDI can improve and make national economy more efficient, enhance decision making, boost cooperation between different levels of activities, and improve knowledge transfer. And then there are a lot of area for use. And then I explain for you 2 phases there are in SDI, I think, and then the first one and second one. The first one, product-based model in SDI. Characteristic for this model, linking and integrating database, data exchange, and project-oriented initiatives. The key driver of the first generation was mostly database creation. Why I explain to you? Because of now Turkey is in here, the first stage. In Europe, transition to second generation came around 2000 year, in 2000. In this time, conferences, forums, new projects, publication of new strategies. Yes, Master explained to reuse data collected, and then introduction of web services to fulfill the needs of users and improve the use of spatial data. The second was process-based model. This model is very important, and then I think now in Europe this process-based model continue. In this model, to create framework to facility management of information assets, better communication channels for the users in order to share and use spatial data in this section. The characteristics of process-based model are establishing active linkage between people and data, coordination of the development, and long-term planning. Okay. Yes, there are a lot of things, there are a lot of works in this stage, but decision makers under utilities these works. Which works? The intensive works, comprehensive researches, development of numerous applications, and sharing of experience. Why? Lack of clear understanding and explaining of an SDI mechanism. Because of the difficulty in defining and implementing of SDI mechanism, lack of clear indicators for tracking of works and evaluation of results, difficulty in establishment the legislative infrastructure cause these delays. And then SDI works have been defined and implemented differently by each institution and organization. These differences have been effective in creating counter policies. Even establishment and implementations of SDI of countries have become different from each other. All spatial data infrastructure initiative meet on a common view to increase the accessibility and use of spatial data and information. And then some system must be increased, but there are a lot of missing in SDI for us. In Turkey, maybe now finished first stage, and then maybe start or continue second stage, but there's some problems in Turkey. The establishment of the legislative infrastructure, use of the highest level of technology, and creating of database for a variety of data and harmonization activities are carried out intensively. It requires quite a long time and cost in order to proceed to the next stage after the first phase of the study have been completed with all the appropriate characteristics. In this context, for proceeding to the second phase, studies need to be started immediately, and implementations should be finalized after studies have been past the first phase. Its legal framework has been slightly determined, and its database has been standardized. And then also institutions and even their personnel remain a major obstacle for the studies done in order to facilitate access and use of data and interoperability for common purpose of institution and organization. Institutions and organizations that support the access and sharing data in a common platform in every environment can restrain both their own studies and other institutions' studies in the implementation phase, unfortunately. I think this is a mind problem. All people must be changed own mind. Also in Turkey there are a lot of projects for finished first phase. Some projects, yes, we finished Geoportal in Turkey, and then I think some organization can enter data, can enter metadata inside this Geoportal. Now we haven't data, we haven't metadata because of, I think they don't understand what is it. And then important project, True Orthophoto project for data collection. Now in Turkey all SDIs finished 10 centimeters orthophotos with 3D models. This different one, this difference by satellite image and another image. Orthophoto project is very important in Turkey because of there are a lot of data, and then I think after this year, this data must be standard and must be open. Yes, when all the services are prepared in the OGC standards, it can be used by all software supporting these standards without any concern about data copying and carrying. Now, in Turkey, all people or organization always said, where is data, and then copying for me. Maybe, yes, in order to perform a study, find, connect, use, recruit, service, and share your products as web services. All data must be shared, maybe from internet, maybe electronic commerce. And then last month we prepared, we established the Center of Services-based components, and then Atlas bir web page from services, web services, and then another one, raster image data and electronic conversion web page, means somebody wants to any data, you can download with this web page, use credit card. Infrastructure providing public service via internet is now ready. Thank you very much. I explained some projects, and I think we will start second phase in Turkey. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And are there any questions for Akin? No. I have a question, and thank you for your presentation. Inspire. How strongly does Inspire feature in your thinking and your planning? What elements of Inspire are you using?
Yeah, first Inspire, I think standards, data standards or communication standards, but in Turkey some people or a lot of people cannot understand Inspire. That's why firstly maybe education for these people after the infrastructure is ready, I think.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Thank you, Akin. We'll move on to the next speaker and move a little closer to home to hear about the SDI in the Barcelona region.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Marta Codinachs, and I'm working at the Territorial Information Systems Department of Diputació de Barcelona. And I'm going to explain you about how we do cooperate to help municipalities in our region to develop their SDIs. First, I will introduce what we do in terms of SDIs. Then I will explain which are the government management and planning needs at local and regional levels. And then we will see which is the relation between these needs and the Inspire Directive requirements, and how do we implement all these requirements with our solution or platform called SITMUN, benefits of SITMUN, and some conclusions. The region of Barcelona is composed of 311 municipalities, and about 80% of them have less than 20,000 inhabitants. So the aim of Diputació de Barcelona is to provide economical and technical support to these small-sized municipalities. And more concretely, our Territorial Information Systems Department helps them to achieve efficient and reliable government management and planning by providing them technical support on creating, maintaining, and evolving a customized GIS system and its SDI platform. So, based on our experience, we think that it's essential for local governments to have accurate, harmonized, and continuous spatial data to obviously to better plan their territory, and it's very important to provide a view of neighboring territories. As you can imagine, the government of the territory on the left side of that picture should well know what is planned on the right side of the territory. So it's very important to enable cross-border management. And to achieve this, we think that same layers at different territories should share name, scale, attributes, coordinate reference system, symbology, and codes, as you can see in this picture. But which information is needed to do this management and planning? Here's a list of some examples of data sets like addresses, municipal urban planning, public space, industrial areas, facilities and services, and so on. But what happens at regional level? We think the needs are the same. It's essential for higher levels of governments to have accurate, harmonized, and continuous spatial data. So we can help to the municipalities in our region to have a regional perspective when they do local planning. And which information is needed at this regional level? For example, land uses, ecosystem services, natural areas, and so on. So after seeing these requirements, we think that government management and planning needs are very, very similar to Inspire requirements. This is a common visualization, continuous geographic data, and enabling cross-border management. And in addition, government management and planning data sets are included, almost all of them are included in the INSPIRE themes. Here I have highlighted in red color the themes of INSPIRE that are involved in the local management and planning, so there are quite a lot. So we can conclude that INSPIRE has helped governments fulfill management and planning requirements by encouraging the development of SDIs. And in our case, in the region of Barcelona, municipalities can implement their SDIs according to the legislation of INSPIRE at the European level, but also to the transposed law in Spain, and also at regional level with the Catalonian cartographic plan. But how do we implement these requirements? We have a platform called SITMUN, which is the acronym for Municipal Territorial Information System, and it's a centralized spatial database for local governments. In 2003, this project started within a community initiative Interact 3B SUDOI program with 7 main partners from Spain and Portugal, with the main goal of providing a GIS global service, not only a tool, to the small-sized municipalities who lack technical or economic resources. Nowadays, we take profit from the economy of scale, and we provide support to 280 local governments and to more than 1,300 users in the case of the region of Barcelona. In 2005, this project ended, having achieved its goal, and we created a local network which members are local governments as clients of this service, again, taking profit of the economy of scale. But in addition, we created a European network which members are European governments as providers of this service. And between them, we reuse and share software, and we cooperate between different levels of government to achieve the maximum efficiency. Nowadays, this project continues evolving according to technical and legal requirements. Here you can see the members of the European network. It is written 9 partners, but from last Tuesday we are 10 partners. And on the right side you can see our region with the 280 local governments as members of this network. You can find more information about the two networks in these URLs. Which are the benefits of SITMUN? From the point of view of data, we can say that SITMUN has evolved to become a foundation platform to easily implement SDIs according to the applicable law. In fact, it is the foundation of the Barcelona region SDI, which is called IDE Barcelona in Catalan. And it facilitates one of the INSPIRE principles, which is that data should be collected only once and kept where it can be maintained most effectively. And an example is the addresses, which in Spain is a municipal competence. And with this platform, municipalities can access the platform to create addresses and to maintain and update them. We perform a centralized ICT management. We collect and structure and load data from councils and from other administrations. And with a back office tool, we generate all the councils' local SDIs and also the regional SDI with several GIS tools, map viewers, a metadata catalog, geo web services, and several processing tools like addresses, geocoding, or coordinate system conversion, among others. This is our regional SDI with the elements I mentioned. And this is an example of one of the local SDI for one of the small municipalities. We customize it with the name of the municipality and also we customize the contents depending on the availability of the information for each one. And this is an example of the benefits when I said that it permits to have continuous spatial data. You can see there are 3 territories here with the same information, with the same attributes, and also with the same legend. And which are the benefits of SITMUN from the point of view of technology? We constantly evolve SITMUN among all interested regional governments. We collaborate and share among higher levels of governments to improve efficiency through this European network. We share and reuse software and acknowledgement. We collaborate in SITMUN-related projects, and also we distribute some tasks. And we share best practices to achieve efficiency. And we can sum up our European network with the word cooperation. But each partner can have its own installation, its own architecture, and these are several examples of customization and configurations of the partners. So each one can have different data, different format, different database connection, and we have an administration tool to manage all these elements, the territories, users, applications, and so on. And this is an example of the elements we have, the architecture we have in Diputació of Barcelona. For example, we have an Oracle locator database. We use FME utility for data loading and also downloading. We use GeoNetwork for metadata, where we have 15 INSPIRE-compliant datasets. We use 52North for WPS, GeoServer for editing and spatial analyzing. We use WFST. And we also use ArcGIS server for visualization. And finally, to conclude, I would like to highlight the importance of government management and planning, where it is absolutely necessary to have accurate, harmonized, and continuous spatial data. And it's essential to enable cross-border management when visualizing and analyzing spatial data performing government management and planning. So we can confirm that INSPIRE has helped to achieve this goal by encouraging the development of SDIs. And about SITMUN, it's a centralized platform. It starts at higher government levels. It helps to generate accurate, harmonized, and continuous spatial data. It fosters standardization. It encourages reuse and cooperation between governments. In fact, it is the foundation of the SDIs of Barcelona region. It helps with compliance of spatial data to applicable laws. It helps achieve higher efficiency and better governance. And its main principle is cooperation. And we can confirm that SITMUN is helping to comply with INSPIRE. And thank you so much for your attention.
Yes, thank you, Marta. A very nice story. That's very good. It's good to see a success story. Any questions at all? Yes. Could you introduce yourself and?
Hugo Poelman from European Commission, DG for Regional and Urban Policy. It's from my DG's perspective, it's nice to see that an Interreg project has had such a successful outcome. Beyond the 7 project partners, 7 regions involved in this project, I wonder if you have had any signs of interest from other regions, other regional authorities elsewhere, that might be interested in taking over this technology to help their small municipalities.
Thank you. Well, in the beginning of the project, several possible partners from south of France also were interested. but finally they didn't join the project. But in the Mediterranean region, it is increasing. The partners from this area are joining the project. They are not from the beginning. And last Tuesday, ABs joined the project, and it's open to every region who thinks it would be useful.
Thank you. We must move on because of time, I'm afraid.
Okay.
So we'll move on to the next speaker, Gunhild. Thank you.
How to go there? Last one. Thank you. Hey all. I'm Gunhild Lönnberg from Sweden. I work at the Lantmäteriet, and I'm going to inform you about the project that has been going on for 5 years in Sweden. And the other organization that's involved is the, in English, cooperation between the local authorities and the regions. And the goal for the project is to provide the basis for effective and ambitious spatial data exchange. We have had a system in Sweden for exchange data in these large-scale areas since the 80s, and there have been several attempts to modernize them. So this time there was a lot of thinking how to deal with it. So there was a map server that all data types from the municipalities and the parts that were of interest for the municipalities from Lantmäteriet was able to look at, and this was set up at the web, and there were a lot of interviews with people from different parts in the municipalities and with the people who had different knowledge of this area, and they were interviewed what they need, what are they missing in the data they have today, how to get it and how to make others use it. And from that investigation, there were set up 3 things that were needed. There was a support to support the municipalities to implement the new reference system in plane and height, and there was set up a group to go out and help the municipalities with it. So today there's only 8 municipalities out of 290 that not have the new reference in plane, and it's about 80 that still not have the new reference in height. They also need to have updated processes for the cooperation on data capture and exchange. They need help to how to make the right demands to the system vendors and to the consultants so that they can get what they want from them. Today they have had big problems, but not that they need, they got from them. And out of that was 9 themes that were the most important for the project. There was a hope that should be fewer, but there were 9 themes. And for these 9 themes, there had to be new data specification. It's a lot of people who have been involved in this project, both from the municipalities and system vendors and consultants. And as the project was finished this summer, there is, of course, has to go on. And then there has been a collaborative organization established, and they has to inform. There have been a lot of time for information during the years, and it will still go on, both local and regional and national at different conferences and so on. And also to support and make advice to the users. And from this part, of course, there will be the need for further develop those data specification that has been done, and also the processes and how to cooperate in this area. There is also some pilot project, and they will have support from us. The organization is like that. Today we have this cooperation between the 2 organizations, and now they have had a new part to deal with. And the responsible for the daily work is in Lantmäteriet, and it's divided into 2 parts, one for the geodetic infrastructure and one for the geography. And so back to the data specification. Of course, when we started the work, we were supposed to use the international standards, Swedish standards, and the INSPIRE specifications. And the documentation of the data specifications follows the ISO standard and is close to the data specifications from INSPIRE. So people who have looked at INSPIRE could easily understand our model. And we also had to make some reusable common packages. For example, in the identifiers, life cycle information, and the geometry. And there were those 9 themes who were the most important, and illustration to each of them. And I think that's about the same themes that have been the most important in other speech we have heard in these days. When we developed the data models, our thought was to make extensions to the INSPIRE models, but because this is more large scale than the INSPIRE models. But as others have told, these days we had some problems with it, and we have been very keen on that at least where we had problems, it should be easy to go between them, to make the mapping between them. The problem was when the project started, because then we realized, even though we had a lot of information, both people from the municipalities, the system vendors, and the consultants didn't really understand the difference between data exchange format and format for storing the data. And that we had to take account once again. And there also was a problem that they thought these models was too complicated. They wanted to have very simple models, so we had to change several of the models to make an easy one. In addition to this data models. We also have demo systems, as I told you, and they are still available, so it's easy to discuss what's needed and so on. And we also have had a big work with this guide for measuring. I have also some from this document with me. We have made description for everything that's could be in these data models for different levels of detail, also how to measure and descriptions about what's included in the different types. And we have XML schemas and XML instance examples also available at the internet. When we had to do the XML schemas from our information model, then we realized that even though it's a good thing to have this information model for the theme, that's not that you will use when you update these things. You have to deal with special parts in different ways. So for our 9 themes, we have 20 XML schemas made, and they are available at this address, both the examples and the schemas. Of course, we have to do something at Lönnberg too, except to take care of the result and inform. So we had last year 4 working teams to analyze the consequences for us to deal with the municipalities with use of these data schemas. And we have made a plan for the needed development. And here is our website. It's possible to have it in English. It's an automatic translation, so not everything will be right, but at least there is a lot of information, and the data models and so on are to be seen here. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Round of applause for Gunhild. And are there any questions, please? No? No? I'll just ask one question, if I may.
Yeah.
So you've made some good progress. What has been your biggest challenge that you've had to overcome in getting where you are at the moment?
I think a lot of the time in the project is to educate the people involved in this project. And there we have to go on with, and we have a good program for how to deal with that.
Yeah. Actually, and a related question, the users of the data, how those people or organizations who will use the data that is published here, how do you involve them in your process?
They have been involved all the time. There have been about 240 people in the work, who represents from the municipalities and the system vendors. So there have been a lot of discussions during the years, and it will still go on.
Yeah, good, great. So the importance of a very cooperative process there. Yeah. Okay, well, thank you again. And we now move on to Martin, and the first of our multinational regional cooperations.
Good afternoon. I hope it works. First of all, let me apologize that I arrived on last minute, but we, with colleagues of mine, tried to make some tricky exercise to utilize this possibility to share with you some latest progress from this regional infrastructure development, and meanwhile prepare some small surprise for you. Yeah. So just to wrap up, this presentation shall give you some update about the initiative which took actually place more than 2 years ago. And main objective of this initiative was really to put together domain experts from the, let's say, INSPIRE, but also eGov and open data domains, and to do something concrete for that region you can see on the screen. And as you can see, this is a relatively significant part of the Europe, but from the discussions you've seen maybe on the INSPIRE side, very often it happens that those countries, for various reasons, they don't have such a strong voice either during the discussions or during some specific topics. Therefore, we were trying to really see what we can do, and here we would like to share with you some main outcomes. First of all, let me give you some context about the background and actually motivations why these things are necessary and why it's good that this kind of actually regional infrastructures are actually happening in Europe. First of all, there are things which you, me, and the others see from your everyday life, where the various impacts are from politicians through various organizational frameworks, like, for example, on those two schemas, you can see how it's organized, INSPIRE implementation in Czech and Slovak Republic. And knowing that there is this sort of political lobby, then you have a governance, which you have to deal with. At the same time, you go down to the domain experts, and you are trying to tell them, please, you have to implement this piece of legislation. What's the problem? And then the problems will start to pop up, because if you are trying to really see what's currently on the scene and trying to do some simple exercise like I was trying to do yesterday to actually collect the data about the bathing waters for those two countries, I realized in the situation where on the left side in Czech Republic, I was able to use the standard GIS techniques to actually populate the data, but Slovakia remained empty. The only data I was able to find was some points collected on top of the Google Map app. So that's the reality we are facing these days. Plus, of course, there are some societal and individual challenges, like you can see these arrows, you can guess what they mean, especially within the recent hot topics in Europe, plus other aspects like unemployment, which is also very important and influencing all of us. And this can have also practical impacts on how, for example, we are planning to spend the holidays for these days. And at the same time, having this group active, you can easily find out actually what's the status either in the open data activities or in the implementation of the INSPIRE. Because some of the information you can find of those resources, like the Open Data Barometer or INSPIRE website, and you can see the reports. But especially with the reports, as you are aware, they are written in the 3 years time span. So meanwhile, there is a lot of progress ongoing, and these things, it's good to have somewhere touched and be able to access. So really, having these challenges on the table, we were quite glad to see that Commission initiated the process in connection to this Danube strategy some time ago, and in connection to the activity called Scientific Support to the Danube strategy, Joint Research Center initiated the project, which was called the Danube Reference Data and Service Infrastructure. And what that project actually was meant to deliver, first of all, there was a willingness to set up so-called online platform where those countries could be able to, first of all, integrate, publish, and share the data related to the data services, projects, all these initiatives, and at the same time to create a collaborative platform. And with that, there are certain levels. First of all, on the left side, you can see the team which is on the Commission side trying to drive the process. Plus, in the middle, you see the contacts for each country. And on the right side, you see those who are supposed to be actually those most affected by this initiative. So there are various stakeholders from the countries, either on those, let's say, official, either public sector levels, but on the bottom side, we were trying to also touch this private sector domain, really academia, R&D, through the activities like a hackathon. So to really get some real use of those resources made available through that platform. I need to check the time, but there are not too many slides remained. So what was possible to achieve through that time available? First of all, there has been established a platform where you can see currently there is more than 9,000 data resources registered. Plus, there was established this community platform where there are some social channels, plus some channels to share some relevant information within the region. And at the same time, they were prepared some documents, some reports, which are trying to summarize what's the situation in the countries. And together with that, Commission initiated a set of pilots, which were aimed to really tackle certain identified gaps and to deliver some proof of concept or some real demonstrators how things could be fixed in the near future. Plus, of course, some raising awareness activities like workshops, hackathon, or additional publications. Just also to be honest, we have to conclude that there were some challenges. Some of them are still remaining. I think the most really calling back also to the countries, but also to those discussions on the European level, is this mainly, first of all, willingness to create some sort of positive pressure on the legislation harmonization, and actually to the possibility to have the legislation, but also to have the tools how to ensure the data sharing in practice. There are still a lot of evidences how difficult it is to access the data, that public sector bodies are selling data among themselves within the relatively significant costs, with very sometimes heavy discussions about the justification of those costs and things like that. Lastly, I try to prepare 3 small examples of the results. First one is called Smartland. It's one of those pilots mentioned there. And this was actually an application which was the result of the Danube hack last year on the fall in Bratislava. And the main objective of these apps is actually to help the local farmers and those who are really trying to set up some farms or really grow some plants in the urban area, to find them the proper land and to get in touch with the owner of the land. So really to rent the land and start to actually efficiently use that piece of area. The second activity is an example of cooperation with one ongoing European project called SDI for Apps, where we are trying to actually move a bit further the results of that project, which was delivering so-called open land use map, and transform this data to the INSPAR compliant dataset. This is actually at this moment the first out of the other countries, but here, as you can see, we are also trying to work on the other datasets. Currently, we are working on the Hungary, and I'm sure some will come in the near future. Last example, which I'm very happy that we have Katie here, which is her effort to actually bring the INSPAR CDDA data, which are really data related to the biodiversity domain, and transform them to the INSPAR compliant shape. And with her help, we were able to identify data for the countries in the Danube region and to actually expose them as an INSPAR service to make available for this kind of activities. Finally, what we are planning to do in the near future, because this project is about to be finished, there will be one high-level event in Bratislava in November. And I have to admit that for me personally, I'm looking forward for this December activity, which will be follow-up of this hackathon we had last year, where we really want to collect all this information on one place to invite developers, some really project idea inviters, and to really discuss and spend 2 days on actually delivering some added value, which will help us also justify that this effort was worth to take, but also to discuss what can be done further on, because we don't want to let die this initiative after the support from the Commission will finish, and keep this network alive for the future. So that's it. If there are any questions, we are here. Thanks a lot.
So thank you, Martin. And Smartland, it sounds like where the clever people go for their holidays. But yes, I think on sustainability, you've answered my question. I really do hope it is sustained, because you've achieved an immense amount there. We've got time for one question, if there is one.
Yeah.
No? I think you've told us everything. You did well.
Thanks a lot.
We'll move on to the final question, the final presenter then, Lisa.
Oh, just try to. I've been so used to working on a Mac, so I can't find the file.
Do you need some help there? So it's down here.
Okay, yes. There it was.
And
yes.
do you recognize the file?
I do.
Which one?
This one. Yes.
That one?
Yeah. Thank you. That was.
Good to go.
Yes, thank you. My name is Lise Schroeder. I'm an associate professor at the University of Aalborg in Copenhagen, actually, and I'm working together with Professor Henning Steen Hansen, who's also part of this project, Baltic Lines. And I'm going to present some of the very initial results of the project that has just started this spring. And I'll put focus on building MSDI solutions, enabling stakeholder cooperation in the North Sea and the Baltic Sea regions. And the reason for also including the North Sea is that we are actually dealing with two projects, but the MSDI part is more central in the Baltic Lines project, but it relates quite a lot to each other, especially the part about stakeholder cooperation. And we are a lot of partners. I have just listed them up here, and we are present all around the Baltic Sea in a project, different parties. We are the only party from Denmark, but we are working closely together with our agency on the National Maritime Agency, the Danish Maritime Agency, in order to also implement the recently adapted Danish law on spatial planning. So the point is, we have those two projects. I have put the links to both of them here. It's two Interreg projects, which, as I said, is going to be quite a lot interacting, because we are several partners from both sides. While the North Sea project is very much about focusing on shipping energy and environmental aspects as a whole, then we have this specific focus on shipping and energy infrastructures in the Baltics. And a central aspect of it is actually working with the existing solution we have for working together in the Baltic Sea area, the HELCOM database, and that's a specific part of the project develop that further into a more feasible solution to support marine spatial planning in the region. Yeah, so a little more words on it. Baltic Lines development of a pan-Baltic planning solutions for shipping routes and linear energy infrastructures and integrating of these in national plans. I have highlighted highlighted pan-Baltic planning solutions for shipping routes and linear energy infrastructures, which is what this part is about. And then we have the North Sea project with this similar perspective, but not as much focus on the MSDI part, but of course it's central as well. Yeah, and just the North Sea partners to list them also. Yeah, so the agenda for my presentation is stakeholders. We have been talking a lot about solutions and also the need for focusing on stakeholder needs, both in this session and also in the conference as general, that we have come to this level of developing our Inspire agenda that there's a lot of focus on actually getting it functioning and seeing solutions and also getting a more specific grasp on what is actually the needs of the different stakeholders. And in this project here, we can talk about stakeholders in terms of spatial planning, but also in terms of actually the data needs for the spatial planning. So I'll focus a little more on the planning perspective, how to facilitate collaboration across borders, and a little on the specific needs, and just as concluding parts on the Inspire perspective and some specific conclusions. But as I said, we are in a very initial stage, so I look forward to be able to present some more results on coming Inspire conferences. Yeah, and we have also at this conference heard quite some presentations on maritime spatial planning and how we start to deal with the sea territory as well from a more collaborative perspective, dealing with all those implementations of our maritime planning directive. So it is about how to create awareness concerning processes and challenges, root growth strategies, sustainability, ecosystems, approach, etc. How to learn from each other. Some countries have just started to implement the EU directive on maritime spatial planning. Denmark, we have just actually adapted the Danish Act on maritime spatial planning this summer. We have done a lot within the field of SDI, but concerning the planning matters, we has just recently adopted the plan. So, not the plan, the act on it. So, and across the Baltic Sea, we have a lot of differences. Some has a lot more challenges concerning actually getting the access to data and establishing the spatial data infrastructure. So the picture we see is that we have a lot of challenges actually in order to get a coherent planning platform for the whole area. So it is about how to facilitate collaboration across borders. And you could say that the stakeholders' perspectives on the marine spatial infrastructures, the MSDI part of it, is how to support usability. So it's about putting focus on the actual needs concerning data as well as functionality. We have heard that in some of the presentations here today as well. And how to get access to data that fit the purpose actually. Yeah, and as I said, we have already this portal, the Helcom portal. Helcom has 4 decades of history, and there's a collaboration among the countries around the Baltic Sea, also including Russia, and the EU is part of it as such as well. it is about supporting the planning and environmental aspects in the Baltic Sea. And there is this portal, at the moment it's based on actually collecting data, storing them into a database, and then it is possible to get access, and there's free access, and of course metadata, the services and such, and you can download data as well. But the main problem is that it's not data directly from the source. So that is part of a project, and that's just an illustration of some of the data that, of course, are going across borders, and where, of course, there is a specific effort on actually getting harmonized and continuous data to work with. And especially the harmonization part is one of the elements that we have a specific focus on, also concerning the needs. What is the actual needs for harmonization? So just a brief illustration of how it is working and what we want to do. We have all the databases and the data stores in a central database at Helcom in Helsinki. And then we have access to the data in the different countries. Yeah, and we want to do it the opposite way around, and we have the data sets available around us, and we would like just to have it as a viewing portal in a platform at Helsinki with access to the different original sources. Yeah, and of course we want to be able to sit down at our desks and search, view, and download the data available. Yeah, and now I have. You could say that Norwegian is part of it as well in this connection, but of course it is the specific plans we are dealing with here is about the Baltics. Yeah, and just an illustration. A lot of data available, and what is that we actually need for the specific tasks that we are planning for, and some of the obstacles is, for instance, that we don't. Not even all borderlines are actually in place. We have still discussions between Denmark and Poland about the borderline. So what is the need for the data? Are we going to actually harmonize all the specific data sets, or or is it about getting access to just feasible data for the planning purposes? Yeah, so we are working with this concept where we have the planner, and the planner has, of course, an interaction with the national databases, and we have this huge focus on stakeholder involvement in the specific planning process. The specific planning processes in the countries, and of course also across borders. And we would like to have access, of course, to all the data from the different parties, and at the portal. I've called it a portal. We have called it a portal. We could call it a platform as well. It's just a prototyping process and a first illustration of how we start to see this tool. So it is about visualization. It is about data services where we can actually get access to different formats. We can get it as WMS maps, or we can get it as file services and different others, and of course metadata as a central part of it. And then we discuss how to deal with this harmonization part of it. Yeah, and as I wrote in the abstract, in both projects we have this part. You could see it also in the overview of the parties, that we have collaboration with Breda University, where they have been working with this game platform, which has been used for actually engaging stakeholders in the process in order to understand what is spatial planning about, marine spatial planning, about maritime spatial planning as well, what is it about, and how to actually engage the stakeholders and also to learn what it is about and to learn about the actual challenges that we are facing dealing with those specific processes. And you could say that in our perspective, dealing with establishing also the system to support the planning, we see this about playing with data also as something that could actually put focus on the specific needs concerning the data. So this is from the North Sea part of it, illustrating that at the moment the game platform is developed further in the North Sea projects, and we are going to work closely together with the developers of the platform in our in the Baltic Sea project as well, in order to try to get it functioning together. And that's how I have illustrated it here, that we have this MSP challenge platform which interacts with our platform at Helcom, where we on one side provide data that should be fit for supporting those planning tasks that we are doing, also in order to involve stakeholders as such. So we have this interaction between both the planning processes and the stakeholder involvement processes, and then we see the MSP challenge part of it as something that could contribute to actually have more focus on the user perspectives in our tool development of our tool planning, the development process of it. Yeah, a few minutes. Yes, I know. So user needs, functionality, main aspects, viewer, data services, metadata, of course, search, view, downloads, very central. Harmonization, focus on definitions and semantics, not necessarily a lot of data sets to be harmonized, but focus on what do we actually understand, and in some broader terms in order to plan for those border areas. So data services, metadata, data from different sources, a harmonized map that should be possible, a simple harmonized map that should be possible to download is what we have heard from the planners so far. And then we could discuss levels of authorization, which also will raise very, very much to how far we have gone in the different countries concerning Inspire, because of course we have very different levels of concerning the different data sets. So of course the Inspire perspective is very, very important. We have some themes that relates directly to also the maritime perspective, but no matter what, we have to go more into it, and we see actually this process we are going through as something that can contribute to also specify how to work with the further Inspire development in that sense. Yeah, that was what I already said. A few categories and subcategories, focus on which attributes are important, which of these data exist in which format, which of these data are freely available is also, of course, a central part of it. Yeah, that is just about, a lot of things are going on already in different data groups, working groups, and different projects, and we have this ongoing collaboration with also the North Sea project. Yes, conclusions. Very important to be able to plan across the borders. A fit-for-purpose approach. From a planner's perspective, it's not necessarily important to have a lot of complex data sets. Need for focusing on semantics and especially which attributes is important ones. Still big differences among the countries, and the project puts focus on the need for Inspire. That is the main conclusion. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Lise. And it is 3:15 now, and it's 15 minutes to the plenary. So I think we won't take questions,
It's okay.
and we'll thank all the speakers. And release you to grab a coffee before the plenary.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.